when I say I grew up with nothing, John, like I grew up like major poverty. Like, and funny enough, my first word when I was like, whatever it is, 2 years old or however you are when you say your first word, was money. It's like I was always money motivated, man. And I realized that in this pursuit of success, I had lost sight of why I thought that I got into business in the first place, which was supposed to be to help my family and to have a different lifestyle, and started thinking about like, man, I didn't do this for me. Like, this is lonely. Like, entrepreneurship is lonely as is, right?
Stop being hard on yourself, agency owner that you're hearing this. Pause and reflect on the good things that have happened. We love what we do as agency owners. I mean, we can be working, 50 hours a week if we wanted to, but it's not healthy. It's not sustainable.
My first ever company was a recording studio. That for me was kind of like the foundation of business. Like, I learned how to be an entrepreneur and I was like 19 years old. Fear and the ability to take action are the things that slow down most business owners.
If you want to scale, you have to let go and just allow someone to learn. And if they fail, they'll learn from that. That's where you come and say, hey, how can I help you?
But if you don't know what you're working towards, then you're going to be in that hamster wheel, right? Because you're saying that you want freedom, but you're not actually setting goals and working towards that, right?
Number one reason that clients leave is perceived indifference.
We already know people don't buy from businesses, they buy from people, right? Like, they buy from people they trust. Where can we delegate or where can we automate? But where can we still keep the human piece connected to that? Because we're, especially as we talk about personal brand. I think for a while there, everyone was kind of freaking out. Like, are we going to lose our jobs?
All right. Welcome to the Go Accomplish More podcast, where we interview successful individuals that are doing amazing things in their agency or business and in life. And today's guest is Andrew Brockenbush, the founder and CEO of Beefy Marketing and the creator of the Savvy Entrepreneur newsletter. And Andrew helps businesses grow smarter by using AI, marketing automation, and modern digital strategies that give entrepreneurs a real competitive edge. He blends creativity, leadership, and cutting-edge tech, right, in a way that actually feels simple and doable, which is rare in today's world. So I'm excited to dive into his story, his lessons, and tools business owners can use to grow with more clarity and freedom. Man, super excited. Andrew, welcome to the show.
John, what's up, man? Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. So where are you calling from first? I like to usually just ask, what city are you from?
Yeah,
where are you at right now?
For sure. I'm in a little city called Tomball, Texas, which is about 35 minutes north of Houston, Texas. So when most people ask, I just say I'm in Houston. Most people know Houston, Texas, but that's kind of where I'm at, is a little suburb of Houston, man.
Oh, sweet, man. Sweet. Awesome. Well, I'm in Miami, Florida, so it's a little bit bigger.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, right? Cool,
yeah,
man. So listen, what's one thing, let's start with just icebreaker here. So what's one thing you've accomplished recently that you're super proud of and this past year? Something
that, like, historically speaking, like, I've not like given myself a lot of like credit where credit's due, just because like I don't know if it's like just like that thing where we like, I don't want to call it false humility, but where we just don't want to like brag about ourselves that much. But this year I really kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and decided that I was going to just like lean into mentorship and really just kind of do things that like made me feel uncomfortable. And one of the big things was speaking more. And I got an opportunity to speak at the Level Up Summit in Dallas earlier this year. And it felt like right after that, it just like spiraled into like one opportunity after the next. Like, I went straight from there and I spoke on a cruise, and then I went to Austin and was on a couple different podcasts, and here I am with you. So it's been just a busy year of speaking, and then it looks like next year is going to line up to be the same. And so that's something I'm really proud of, is, not just speaking, but also like taking the chance. And even though I was a little bit nervous and a little uncomfortable, it was like something I wanted to do. I wanted to share what I've learned over the last 10 years. And that's something I'm really excited about.
No, and you did an amazing job. I mean, I was there and you knocked it out of the park. So even if you were nervous, I didn't even notice you were nervous. I think you did great. So.
It's awesome, man. Appreciate that.
Sweet, man. So you studied music production before becoming a marketing and AI leader. I mean, what part of that creative path still shows up like nowadays?
Oh man, well, it's funny. Like, we always kind of joke. It's like, man, I have a bachelor's in music production. Like, how am I using that degree now? And I'd say the closest thing to that, like just degree wise, is probably all of the podcast stuff I do, both on the production side and we have a podcast studio we built here in our offices. I'm actually in one, and then we have another one right in the office next to me.
Sweet.
So we still do a lot of that. But for me, like at a pretty young age, like I was always pretty creative. Like, kind of a creative meets technical. Like, I loved like the audio engineering and running sound at church and things like that. And so that was kind of my start in music production. I was a worship leader for my local church when I was like 15 years old. And as I was doing that, I was like, man, like I want to be a music producer. Like, I want to record musicians. And so I pursued my degree in music production. My first ever company was a recording studio. which was really, really fun. It was called Faith Recording Studios. And that for me was kind of like the foundation of business. Like I like had to like learn how to be an entrepreneur. And I was like 19 years old. I mean, I literally rented a house in the town that I'm in now. And we turned the back of the house into like our apartment. And we turned the front of the house into a full producing like
Sweet.
recording studio. And it was so much fun. But I learned in those kind of early years was that more musicians at the time needed help with promoting themselves and getting themselves out there and telling people about who they were. Then they needed help with like the technical side of audio recording. We were kind of on the cusp of like everyone having the ability to do stuff at home like we're doing right now. I mean, this is like 13 years ago. This was like still like really new. And so I kind of learned that like, okay, marketing was the bigger pain. And that was kind of my first step into the marketing world and kind of what's brought me to where I'm at today.
Man, it is so true. Like we never know those early habits that we adopt when we're young, right? And you start gaining experience in certain things you're doing, and you started learning about music, you started being creative, and that took you to the person you are today. Like right now, you're using your creativity, you're using your passion and what you're good at, and now it's translating where you're helping business owners with this, right? So
Exactly.
it's crazy how that happens, right?
For sure, man.
Sweet. So let's talk about some of the industry pain points. You know, I know that you serve a niche or you serve small businesses, right? So what would you say is the biggest marketing blind spot that you see in small to mid-sized businesses that they still struggle even today with the AI thing going and so many things happening right now?
Yeah, honestly, I think if I could sum it up into one thing, it's consistency, right? I don't think it matters like what marketing service or marketing solution that's out there, whether it's, you know, again, I started my agency in 2012. So back then, like social media was like the new thing, right? Like Facebook was still pretty hot. We were like, I'd say early agency days, like we were a big social media agency. Like a lot of our clients, we were just doing Facebook posting and things like that. And back then it was like easy, like in the sense that like, as long as we were consistent for these clients, like we could get like crazy good results. Fast forward 13 years, like it's a lot more competitive. There's a lot more platforms. You're competing for much more attention. But I don't think that the vertical or the medium or the type of service really matters. It really comes down to like businesses being consistent. And I see it with people that we work with. I see people that are kind of in the sidelines, like thinking about working with an agency. And I feel like a lot of it boils down to just like, I think people have been burned a lot, you know, from
Totally.
you know, agency partners over the years, or even like them, you know, internal marketing departments, whatever the case may be. And so they're like really trigger shy. Like they're afraid to be consistent. They're afraid that if they lean into one thing too much, they're putting all their eggs into one basket, you know, that they're going to be hurting themselves. And I feel like the opposite is true in the sense that like you have to commit to the same things over and over again for a long enough time to get results, right? I kind of always use the analogy of like going to the gym. Like most people know like what it takes to like build muscle and lose weight and have progress. But the number one thing, it doesn't matter what you eat, it doesn't matter where you work out, like none of those things matter if you're not consistent, if you don't continue to show up. And so I see that a lot as businesses they'll say, oh yeah, this year we're going to lean heavily into X, content marketing, SEO, you know, paid ads, whatever. And then they trail off so quickly. It's like a New Year's resolution that they just can't stick to. It lasts less than 90 days. And then they're like wondering why they didn't get the results they were looking for. And so for me, like, I think that's what it comes down to, right? Is, you know, when you talk about like blind spots and things that businesses are struggling with, it's just the consistency piece. If businesses would just focus in, lean into one thing and just stick to it and test, they would have the results they're looking for, right? That's my perspective.
Do you think most businesses, they just don't know the avenue to be consistent in? Do you think because there's so many things happening right nowadays, like with where should I go? Which vehicle should I use? Do you think that that's the reason why they're not being consistent? Or you think they get comfortable where they're at, or they're in the business, right? And they don't realize, hey, I got to get out of the business so that I can be the architect and understand like, where are we headed? Like, do we have any goals for next year, right?
I think that what I see the most, I mean, so one of the big services I offer is fractional CMO services, where I'm working weekly with business owners and helping them, you know, take action, right? And I think that that's really the thing that I see the most, even with these big clients that I serve, is that fear and the ability to take action are the things that slow down most business owners, right? They're afraid of trying new things because they're like, well, we've always done this thing, or this thing has worked, or, you know, we're doing traditional media and we're not sure how paid ads are going to work for us. And it's like, well, you're never going to know if you don't try, right? And I tell clients that outright, like, hey, look, like I feel really confident in the things that we can deliver for you. However, at any point, if we feel like after we tried it and tested it for a number of months, if it's not working, like we can pivot. Like that's fine. Like I don't want you to waste money. I don't want you to lose money, but I do want you to be consistent. I do want you to stay focused on the things that we think are going to make progress. But the other part is just like them getting in their own way. You kind of ask the question, like, do you think it's about them being too much in the weeds? Yeah. I think people try to go at it alone far too much. They think that like, okay, I can just do this. I'm going to just like isolate. I'm going to do it by myself. And it's like, man, you're missing out on so many people who've already been where you're at who could help you. And I think that for me was like, I mean, here I am 13 years in my business and I didn't hire my first business coach until about 2 years ago. Like, what the heck is my thinking, man? Like if I would have known, if I would have known that was like the secret to success, like early on, and it wasn't as expensive as I thought. Like I thought that hiring a coach was going to be like reserved for like big businesses and people that were like already made it. But it's like, again, the guy that's already in shape doesn't necessarily need a personal trainer. Sometimes it's the guy that's like still trying to figure it all out. And so I think that that's where I found myself. And it's what I see in a lot of my clients and the prospects, the people I talk to, is that they're just not willing to like get out of their own way and get out of their head and try to like get into a community environment where people can encourage them and show them the kind of secrets to what they need to do better.
So true. And you know, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with, and even the leaders and mentors that you're surrounding yourself with, right? If you're just in the weeds all day and you're not seeking those mentors, it's going to be hard for you to grow right to the next level for sure, right? You're heavily in AI, right? And where do you think the marketing industry is headed right now in the next 2-3 years, right? With AI being so prevalent and just so many things like hitting us with different directions, where do you see this going?
I think we're all like a little bit like on the edge of our seat, kind of like what's going to happen. I think for a while there, everyone was kind of freaking out. Like, are we going to lose our jobs? I think for me, when I look at marketing, especially like as an agency owner, when I look at the landscape of agencies, I think we're already seeing like the commoditization of marketing agencies. And I think that more than ever, like it is about relational. It is about advisory. How are we showing up in a way that is like educational? And I feel like, I felt that before AI even kind of came to the scene a few years ago. Like I already started feeling that, where it was like we needed to be an education company first and foremost before we serve like a service or solve a problem. Because I think there's so many people that are, we talk about the different stages of the funnel. I think so many people are still top of the funnel, like they're just in discovery mode. Like they don't know what to do, they don't know where to turn. They're just trying to figure it out. And so I think, in my opinion, like we have to show up in a real strategic advisor, strategic partner type of way where we can come in and like be a part of that journey with them and help them figure out and navigate the different things. And for me, like most of my business has come by way of that. Like I'll give away the farm for free, man. Like when I worked for Apple, there was a time when one of our senior leaders had gotten some training by the Ritz-Carlton, and he asked the guys at the Ritz-Carlton, he said, "Why are you guys giving all your secrets away for free?" And the Ritz-Carlton said, "Because we've been doing it for years and no one takes our advice." And I was like, oh, wow. Like I can give away everything for free, right? But at the end of the day, like you still have to take action. You still have to do something with the information I share, right?
And there's like a percentage to like the people that buy courses and stuff, like only like 5% of them even take action. Yeah. So if you're worried about, oh my God, I'm just sharing so much knowledge and someone's going to like, it's not going to happen, right? I mean, that's why there's coaches that are there for you and, to guide you, right? And more than ever, I think like we have to become now growth partners, right? Yes. I think more than ever, we have to humanize our message too. Like personal branding is huge now. I believe it's going to be even more needed, right? Because now with AI being so prevalent, your personal brand is huge. I mean, what do you think about the personal brand stuff too as well? I mean, do you think that that's going to elevate now with AI, with all these things happening? People are going to be hungry for that human touch, right?
Oh, 100%, man. Like I really leaned into building my personal brand really in the last, 6 months. And it was something that was a bit out of my comfort zone because like, again, like I'm not a bragging kind of guy. I don't like talking about myself. Like I like to, I don't mind being kind of in the shadows, just kind of doing my thing and like nerding out and having fun. But I had gotten some, encouragement from like my coaches, like that I should be more present. I should be more active. And man, it's queued up more opportunities for me this year than anything else I've done. So I think first of all, like that doesn't just apply to an agency owner. I think that applies to any entrepreneur, any business owner. It's one of the things I'm coaching my clients through. It's funny, you asked me about personal brand, and right before I got on this call with you, I'm working on a personal branding guide for business owners, because I think that there are so many people out there that are like this client that I talked to today. He's a wealth advisor. He's never even been on social media. Like when I say never, like he's like, Andrew, how do I make a post on LinkedIn?
Wow.
Like, how do I tag people? What's a hashtag? Like, how do I use this? And I was like, you know what, Matt? I was like, I'm going to write a guide to help you in your business and help you to promote, because he just wrote a book. I was like, I'm going to have it help you promote your book and all these things. But I think that you're absolutely right. Like we already know people don't buy from businesses, they buy from people, right? Like they 100%. Buy from people they trust. So I think more than ever, it's our responsibility to start putting out content that makes us relatable and humanized and connected, because there is a lot of competition. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of artificially generated content. More than ever, like we have an opportunity to like let our personality shine through. And like the feedback I've been getting from most people that see my social media is like, bro, like we love when you just post these stupid, silly videos. And like, I enjoy that stuff most too.
I mean, literally
crazy.
when I go to events, like they don't even ask me, like they ask about my dog that I've been posting with, right? Hey, how's Chase doing? Man, I love your golden doodle. I'm like, what?
Like, how do you know about my dog?
Exactly.
Isn't that so funny? Like the other day I was at an event, it was a couple weeks ago in Nashville. And one of the guys is like, hey, Andrew, like, I don't know you, but I feel like I know you because I follow you on social media. I've seen your posts. Well, he said that and I was like, oh man, I appreciate that. Like, thank you so much for saying that. And then another guy in the room was like, somebody approached him in a totally different state and said, hey, you know the beefy guy? And he was like, beefy guy? Like, what are you talking about? Beefy guy? He's like, you know, the guy that has that big beefy truck with a tent on it and stuff like that. So, you know, same for me. Like, I think people are starting to like know my brand by like our really cool wrap truck that we did and the tent and like the adventure stuff that we're doing. And it's funny how those things that are like not business related at all are the things that people like cling on to and attach to more, because they're the relatable things, right? Like when we think about most of the people we serve and most people in our community, they're not the same as us. They're not entrepreneurs. They're not doing this whole working until the wee hours of the morning, you know, like burning the candle on both ends. So I think the more human we can be, the better.
And I mean, what do you think stops people from being consistent when it comes to putting themselves out there, like with video and just creating content? Do you think just some people are not cut out to it, or do you think they are just fear of getting camera, or their fear of judgment? Like, what would be as the number one reason they're not doing it? Because sometimes I'm like, man, you got to get out there, right?
The things I hear the most are, I don't want to talk about myself. I don't like talking about, I mean, I hear that so often. I don't want to talk about myself. And I've had to remind people, you know, my leadership coach, Dr. William Attaway, He always says, it's not what we want from you, it's what we want for you, right? And I told my clients that all the time. It's like when you're creating social media posts, like if you think about it through that lens, it's not what you want from the audience that you're posting to. It's what you want for them. And whatever you've learned over the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that experience is going to serve someone in their lives and be able to support them in their journey. So I think if you look at it like, no, I'm not bragging about myself. I'm sharing this for you because I want you to be successful. I want you to miss these things that like I had to like face the hard way, like that kind of stuff. I think the other thing I hear often is that they don't know what to post. And I think that that's just like a habit you have to build and a muscle you have to kind of create.
Totally.
You know, I think one of the easiest and like foundational layers of tips I could give there is like, just define what your pillars are. Like, what are the things that like mean the most to you? What do you want to talk about? Like, I literally have mine written down. It's like 12 pillars about me, behind the scenes. I have some trash posts. I have like my why, like all of these like main core pillars. And so when I'm creating content, I try to write it through one of those pillars lens. Like, where does it kind of fill in the blank? And I think once you start doing it, then you start to find, I guess, items in your everyday life that you're like, oh, that would make a really great post. Like, you know, and sometimes for me, it's like somebody says something and I'm like, oh man, like that's gold. Like, I want to share that. Or like one day my girlfriend was sharing an experience from the company she was working with, and it was kind of a really bad culture experience. And I was like, man, like that sucks. And so I wrote a whole like article and post, if you will, all about how like companies' cultures can't be like thinking through that lens. So I just, you know, I think once you build the habit, like anything, I don't think it's a thing that you're cut out for, you're not cut out for. I think you just have to be consistent.
Totally, totally. So good, so good. I mean, I can talk all day about personal branding and
Yeah,
about
man,
videos.
you
for
crush
sure.
that, bro. You crush it. So
You too, you too. All right, so now we're going to jump into systems and strategies, right? I mean, the people that are hearing this podcast are either agency owners and they want to know, like, okay, give me the secret sauce. Like,
Yeah.
what has allowed Andrew to succeed? So, as a business owner, right, listening right now, who feels stretched thin, like, what would be the first automation or AI process that can really buy back their time? Is there any AI tool that you recommend or that you're using in your agency as well?
man, I could like give like 1,000 because like I'm a tool peddler. Like I love a good tool. I think it depends on like what area that you're finding like the biggest bottleneck. I think that you kind of evaluate like what is it for me that I'm struggling with. Like for example, like let's just say that you and I were talking, John, and you told me like, hey man, I'm starting this podcast and it's really fun and I want to get the most value out of the content we're creating together. One of my favorite tools, so like hopefully this one's helpful for you, is a tool called Summarize. What's really cool about Summarize is you put your audio into that, your transcription of that podcast into this software, and it creates a ton of resources. And I don't mean just like what, there's tools out there will be like, oh yeah, I got a few social clips and I got a couple of, show notes and things like that. No, man, this will write blog posts, create ebooks, create checklists,
Sweet.
check quizzes, like anything you want. And then the way it works is like you basically say like, every time I record an episode and upload it, I also need you to create me a XYZ resource, and you just give it the AI prompt for it. And now every time it'll generate that resource.
Love it.
Like that's an example of one tool. I think the other thing that most businesses should take advantage of, and I'm sure you've had other guests share this maybe. I mean, I think the fundamental is just like custom GPTs and custom Gemini. They're called gems, where we just create these specialists that do one like thing really, really well in our business. For me, one of the ones that's been the most helpful is I built myself a social media assistant. We're talking a lot about personal brand. We're talking about how do we show up more consistently on social media. I have one that is trained based on all of the ways that I communicate, my posts. I give it viral hooks. I've given it things that I like in the way I write. And now it's as easy as like, I can take a photo, upload it into this GPT, and it's going to give me a caption that goes with it. And it's pretty freaking spot on to like the way I would communicate and the way I would talk. So those are a couple, but man, I could spend days. I think, when we talk about systems, I think more than anything, it's about where can we delegate or where can we automate, but where can we still keep the human piece connected to that? Because we're, especially as we talk about personal brand.
Totally. And you said something like for us, we've created projects within our agency as well. And projects are similar as GPTs where each project has a purpose, right? You put the source files and you put modern day people within that project. Like let's say you have like, there's one called an AI executive board that we have, and we have Tony Robbins in there. We have all these mentors, and you ask the question like, hey, I'm going through this struggle. How can you help me? Can you ask the board? Exactly. And I have all these mentors in that, project.
So cool.
And it will give me a great answer. It'll give me, and then from there you can just evolve, and it's incredible. I mean, if you're not tapping into that, it's just, you're missing out, right? I think we have so much technology in front of us that can allow us to be more successful, right?
100%. And the more you give it and the more you correct it or, kind of improve on what it creates, the better and better it gets. Another one that like, I don't know if you guys have used yet, John, but Google has one called Notebook LM.
I was going to say it. We use Notebook LM all day for presentations.
So
and the new
good,
update.
man.
I mean, did you look at the new update they have now with Notebook LM?
Crazy.
For presentations, it's crazy, right?
Insane. Yeah. So that one's been huge. Like one of the things, like a little side fun project that I've been kind of working on is my girlfriend was trying to read the Bible in a year, right? Mm-hmm. And I would get in the car and I would listen to her listening to this narrator just read the Bible. And it was boring me to death because like because if you don't have enough context to the Bible and you're just listening to it being read, you're like, what are they talking about? Like this is boring. And so what I did was I took the individual chapters of the Bible and I pulled them into Notebook LM and had it generate a podcast episode about the chapters of the Bible. And for me, that's much more digestible because now I'm listening to a conversation with context and kind of other angles where I'm like, oh, this is really fascinating. This is really
how we used it the other day or, about 3 months ago is that we grabbed all my sales calls because I record every single sales call. We did a transcription of those sales calls, put them in Notebook LM, and now we have a training guide for the future salesperson that we are going to hire. And we added the podcast, we added it on the video presentation, and there's over like 50 recordings of me just selling, which is there, right? We transcribed it, we put it in there, and now the training is done for you literally within 5 or 10 minutes, right?
That's so cool, man. And the fact that like, for people that have never used Notebook LM, there's an interactive mode. So it's not just this static resource where you can ask it a question. Like in the case of the way that we used it, we're literally asking it questions like, so they're like podcasting back and forth, and I click the little interactive mode. I'm like, so what would John do in this situation where their objection was XYZ? Well, now all of a sudden, like the podcast hosts are like giving you an answer fed by the data that you've given it. And it's like, whoa, it's like a real live sales training tool at that point. That's amazing.
Totally. And for those that are hearing this podcast, I mean, you can get Notebook LM through your G Suite. Like, so if you have Gmail, it's actually free. It's within that. You go in there and you can just play around with it. It's very easy. You can go on YouTube and just put Notebook LM, how to use it. And it's an amazing tool that will save you a lot of time, right?
A lot of time. Yeah. And I think what's cool about it versus like, ChatGPT, because people are like, well, why would I use a custom GPT or projects and things like that? The one thing that's really nice about it is that it is purely pulling the data from the knowledge you've uploaded. So you're not going to get those like kind of one-off hallucinations, right? It's only going to keep it true to the knowledge that you've fed it. And I think that part's like really, really nice.
We use it as well too, as like, let's say that I want to create more videos on, let's say, someone within staffing, and there's a big staffing agency with a guy that speaks really well and whatnot. What I do is that I go on YouTube, grab the YouTube link, throw it in there, and just throw as many YouTube videos in there, and it'll write it, and I'll say, okay, rewrite these YouTube videos so that I can create my own YouTube video with my twist on it. Why not, right? I'm not copying them, but I'm just getting some inspiration on stuff that I believe they're saying with my tone of voice.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, when you look at the biggest social media, influencers out there and the people that talk about like what's the best way to create content, a lot of times they will tell you, go find the videos that are popular right now and trending right now and do your own spin and do your own take on it. Because if it did well once, it will likely do well again in your own circle of influence. So I think that's a really great use of Notebook LM. That's awesome, John.
So good. So good. Well, anyways, like what has building a full service agency taught you, right? About hiring. I'm sure you've had a lot of learning experiences about hiring, about leadership, about trusting your team.
Yeah.
Like anything that comes to mind.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of things, for one, like, delegation is important. And then I think that like, there's a whole like there's a phrase called trust then verify. And that was a lesson I learned like early on where like, I think when I was a young entrepreneur, I gave too much trust. And then because of some bad, situations that came because I was just like completely hands off, like then I became like really like fearful of trusting people. And then I started like, holding people back, right? And not actually allowing them to kind of be fully present in their role and do what they do best. And I think that actually slowed me down a lot. And I think really within the last couple of years, really, working with you guys actually, bringing on some of the folks that you guys work with has been really eye-opening for me because I had to kind of go back to that fact of like, I hired you for a reason, right? And I need to let you do that. And it's okay if you make mistakes and it's okay if it doesn't go right the first time because we can always improve. We can always course correct. But when we always are just so fearful that we're just not allowing people to like fully accelerate and fully do what they can do best, then we're constantly in that world of like, why is there so much on my plate? Why am I doing so much? It's like, well, it's because you're not letting go of stuff. Especially like if I'm talking to another CEO, like that for me was always a problem. It's like my hands were on everything, like, oh, I'm building websites still. Why are you building websites still, dude? Like you've been doing this for 13 years. Why are you still sending emails? Like all these things that like were just, kind of filling up my plate. I think that once I finally let go and allowed these people to just be their best that they could be, I was like, oh, this is freaking nice. Like now I'm like hands off. Yes, I check in. Yes, I make sure that there's accountability. But I let people do what they do, man. And that's been really, really empowering for me because now I get to be, in my case, I want to be the visionary. Like I enjoy dreaming. I love having like vision casting. But before I couldn't do that because I wasn't delegating. And I read the book Who Not How, and that was like really eye-opening of like, okay, I was always asking the question like, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Now I will literally text my team and be like, hey, I got a who not how situation for you. I've got an idea. Who is going to help us execute this, right? Not how are we going to do it? Who's going to help us do it, right? And so that was really eye-opening for me and kind of empowering in the business in the last few years. I think the other thing too, man, is this is like, if my team listens to it, they might give me a little bit of a hard time for this one, but like, if I could go back in time and rebuild my business differently, I think I would. I think, when you're a young business owner, you're a young entrepreneur, you're kind of taking on any opportunities, like anything that pays the bills, you're just saying yes to, right? So if I could coach another entrepreneur, whether it's an agency or not, I would say like, find the thing that you're most passionate about, that fills your cup, that brings you joy, that you can crush it at, and focus on that. Don't allow like the shiny objects to like catch your attention too much, right? Do the one thing and do it really well. And then if you've got the capacity to do other things, then do that. I think where I went wrong is like I did all of the things, and I'm having to like kind of work backwards 13 years now, where I'm having to say, okay, where can I kind of like narrow my focus? Where can I say, okay, this thing does not serve us anymore. This thing does not serve us anymore, and kind of let go of stuff. But that's harder than you think, right? The other day, my assistant, Laura, you know her, John, I asked Laura, I was like, Laura, why do we have so many employees? Like, why do I have so many people? Like, our company's not this massive company. Like, we don't need how many people we have. And I think we both sat there and we realized it's because we do offer so much, right? And I think that's like a lesson for business owners. Like, you don't have to be a huge employee count to be a huge company, right?
Totally.
I think it goes back to like, where's your focus? Where's your attention? How are you best utilizing the people that you already have on your team? So that's been, again, another area where I'm like, man, if I could rebuild this and redo this different, I would have focused in a little bit tighter. I would have brought the right people on for the right things versus being like trying to do everything for everyone, because like I'm having to, again, kind of work backwards now to fix that.
Yeah. So we self-implement EOS. Like, I'm not sure if you've heard of EOS, and we have an accountability chart, right? Where we have all the team members there. And usually whenever we see that there's an issue with a team member, there's always going to be two things. It's either a systems issue or it's a people issue, right?
Yeah.
And usually most of the time, it's a systems issue. So it's very important, like you said, is like, if someone can do it better than you, like even 80% better than you, it's a lot better than you doing it yourself every single time, right? And they're going to learn how to do it after that, right? I mean, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'll give Laura all the credit on this podcast, man, because like one of the things that she's really good about doing with me is she'll say like, hey, like this is something that needs to get done. Can you show me how to do it? And I'll say something like, no, it'll be faster for me to just knock it out. And she's like, is it though? Like, is it actually faster for you to knock it out, or would it take you an extra 10 minutes to show me how to do it that you never have to do it again? And I'm always like, dang it, Laura, you're right. Like, let's do it. Like, I'm just going to show you how to do it. And there's been so many things that she's like had full ownership on now. Like, for example, like one of the areas of our business that's always been a struggle is like, we do a lot of printing work, a ton of print work, for anything from hats to like swag boxes and all kind of cool print stuff for our clients. And, the problem was the only people that knew how to know how to manage those orders were me and our salesperson, John. We're the only two people on the team that could do it, because it was like so many like moving parts. And so what would happen was when we were busy with big projects, whether it's like a website or paid ads or, anything like that, the print work would just kind of get brushed aside, because it was like, well, that's not the focus. Like, the big focus is over here. Laura has probably done more sales in print this year than me and John combined, because we showed her how to do it. She knows how to do it. And when the emails come through, she just takes care of it, right? So it's like, even if there's a mistake or two she makes here and there, it's like, cool, like you're going to learn from that. Like, at least it got done. At least it didn't get missed. And so, yeah, man, that's fire advice. I think they talk about that in Who Not How. It's like, even if they just do a kind of good job, it's still better than you having to do it.
Like one of the times, like as well as like us as agency owners or even a CEO, like we also sometimes struggle with ego, right? And we want to come in and save the day, right? Yes. And we want to look good, and we have to let go of that. Right.
Yeah, we have to.
If you want to scale, you have to let go and just allow someone to learn. And if they fail, they'll learn from that. Right. It's either the system, they'll correct the system, or if it is a people person, then that's where you come and say, hey, how can I help you?
That's right.
Right. How can I make this better? Because it was my fault. The system wasn't right, or maybe it was their fault, and they acknowledge it and they learn from it. Right. And they get better and better as you scale. Right.
Exactly. They don't want to fail either, right? Like, that's the reality.
Exactly.
Like, nobody wants to fail. Like, there's a dopamine hit that comes from those wins. And so I think for the most part, people will kind of self-regulate, if you will. They'll tell you like, hey, I dropped the ball here. And either, like you said, it's because a system was lacking and there was no way to follow, or they're like, hey, I just don't know if this is the right thing for me. Like, I don't know if this is the, my area of genius. And it's like, cool. Like, thank you for letting me know that. Like, I would rather have a transparent, open conversation about what you're passionate about and where you feel like your skills lie, so that I can get it to the right person. Because someone else might love that thing. Someone else might be like, oh, I would love to do that. So
exactly. Right. Or even moving that team member to another role. Let's say that team member has been with you for 2 years, but she shines in so many other areas except for this area. You can move that person to another role. Right. And
exactly.
if you see that she's shining in a specific area. Right.
Yep.
All right. We talked about a lot of stuff. And
man,
you see, most agencies, man, I think that the end result is that they want freedom. I mean, that's part of the
Yes.
reason they started their business. I mean, they want to have the vacation, they want to have the freedom with their family and whatnot. So what does freedom mean to you today, right? As a leader, as a creative person, as a business owner, what does freedom mean to you?
We get into business because we think that freedom's on the other side of that. We think that by leaving a job, leaving a 9 to 5, like we're walking into freedom. And then I think what most of us find, at least at some point of our journey, is that we either built ourselves into another job, right? We're just the
100%.
boss. Actually, our clients are the boss. We think we're the boss. Or we build ourselves a bit of a prison where we feel like we're just trapped. We can't get out of it. We don't know what to do. Like, we don't know what's next, right? And I think for me, like, I literally, it sounds weird, or maybe it does, but I literally sat down one day and wrote, like, what is the perfect, like, what does life look like for me if freedom came true, right? That means, like, I can go spend a couple hours with my dog during the middle of the day because he's an old dog and I know that I've not got many years left with him. That sounds silly, but, like, I love my dog. I want that time with him. I'm a big guy. I've always been big. Call the company Beefy for a reason. I want to focus time on, focusing on my health. That means going to the gym during the day, right? If I want to take a trip with my girlfriend and we want to take a quick, few day vacation or whatever, I don't want to feel like I have to, find some coverage at the business and who's going to take care of this and that. Like, I want to know that I can do that. Like, that was the whole point of getting into business for the first place, right?
Totally.
And I think the first thing that we have to do as business owners when we define freedom for ourselves is, what does that look like for you? Because I think for everyone, it's a little bit different, right? Some people want to retire their spouses. Some people want to make just enough money to like pay for their, mom or grandparent to be able to like be in a really nice nursing home facility or have a caregiver. Like, it looks different. But if you don't know what you're working towards, then you're going to be in that hamster wheel, right? Because you're saying that you want freedom, but you're not actually setting goals and working towards that, right? And I think for me, that was a big deal, was like writing those things down and putting dollars next to them and going, okay, I thought that this was going to be really hard. Like, one of the big ones I had this year was I hated that I didn't feel like my team was making enough money. I felt like they were underpaid for what they delivered. And I really care about my team. And so for the longest, I was like, I wish I could pay you guys more. I wish I could pay you guys more. But I'd never actually wrote down what it would take to get them more. And so when I wrote it down, I looked at my entire roster of employees and put down the amount of money that I wanted each of them to make. It was like, oh, this is only a few $1,000s a month extra of revenue. Like, that's a really obtainable goal. And so I think part of it is just starting with that, and, for me too, it's like making time to disconnect from your business, right? That's something that I'm working on right now. I don't know if it'll launch next year or the year after next, but I'm creating my first ever conference. It's going to be called the Disconnect Conference.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm excited, John. And the
man.
idea is that, business owners, again, like, we get into the weeds, especially like as agency owners, like, technology just controls our lives. It rules our lives. And I want business owners to take time to disconnect, make times for their mental health, their physical health.
Hey, sign me up, man.
Yes, come on, bro. Come on, let's go. So I'm excited about it. What we're planning on doing is it's going to be a cruise. And we're going to go on a cruise together, and we'll probably start that. And I think I'm going to do some micro trips as well. I think we're going to backpack Glacier National Park with a small group as well. But I just want people to like reset, man. Like, I think for me, like, this year was the first year I did that. I remember the very beginning of the year, I got an invite to go to a mastermind event that was going to be in Nicaragua. And I remember sitting on the checkout page for like hours contemplating whether or not I was going to buy the ticket or not, because I was so afraid. I was like, I've never been out of the country other than Canada. That doesn't count. Like, I was like, I'm afraid. Like, I'm afraid to go to this other country. And I was like, wait a second. Like, why am I allowing fear to control my future? Like, this is stupid. And so I finally just like closed my eyes, bro, and pressed checkout. And like, I was like, all right, well, it's done is done, And that one decision literally has changed the trajectory of this year. I ended up taking a week-long vacation with my girlfriend to Cancun. Were you in Cancun with us? I don't know if you were in Cancun.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't get to go.
I don't know if you're going to Cancun or not, but we did a week in Cancun. And man, like, that was just the first time that me and my girlfriend in 10 years have taken like an actual like week to ourselves. And it was like, I feel like there's so many other business owners out there that are just like me that have not taken time to just disconnect. So for me, that's freedom, is being able to disconnect and not think that thing's going to burn down when you step away.
Yeah. And two things come to mind. Like, my mentor once told me, Josh Nelson, was that you need to pause and celebrate your wins.
Yes.
Right. Because if not, you're going to be in that hamster wheel, like you said earlier. You're going to keep on just going to the next victory, and you have to reflect. Stop being hard on yourself, agency owner, that you're hearing this, and pause and reflect on the good things that have happened. Right. And the more that you reflect and really say, wow, actually I made it this far, it's amazing, right? You know, that will motivate you to the next milestone. Because I think that we love what we do as agency owners. I mean, we can be working 50 hours a week if we wanted to, but it's not healthy. It's not sustainable, right?
Yeah.
At all, right? So I think, just pausing and really celebrating, I think, is the key as well. So totally.
That's great advice, because I think one of the things I know I struggle with personally is like, you're constantly like evaluating the people around you, which is not a bad thing. It like gives you like more to reach for and stretch for.
Of course.
But sometimes I feel like that comparison like robs us of our own joys that we should celebrate, And like the other day I was at a friend's house, and his house is like basically a mansion. And I was like, oh my gosh, bro, like I'm not even anywhere close to this in my journey right now. And in the moment I was like discouraged a little bit, because I was just like, man, like I've not even made it, blah, blah, blah. And then the other night I was sitting with my girlfriend, we were watching a movie, and I was like looking around, and I was like, man, like when I say I grew up with nothing, John, like I grew up like major poverty, like got Christmas presents from, Toys for Tots, the Salvation Army. Like we went to the pantry on the Saturdays to get our groceries. Like
wow.
that was like my reality. And I was sitting there like looking at my house that we bought this year, and I was like, wow, like who cares about my buddy's mansion? Like it's bad A, like I love it, it's cool.
Yep.
But like look what I have, like look what I created for myself. Like this is a big accomplishment.
That's what it's about.
And so you have to, man, you have to step back and celebrate the moments, no matter where you're at, because your journey is different than everyone else's, and that's okay.
And we're the hardest critics too, like in regards to the the backgrounds that we've come from and all that. And I think that you have to you're only competing against yourself, right? You're not competing against no one else. Just focus on you're competing against yourself to become the better version every single day. And if you do that, you're going to succeed in life, and you have been. What mindset and what habits have you acquired? I mean, for you to be successful, you came from a very humble like upbringing and whatnot. What made that switch? Like at what age and what made that switch and said, man, I need to be successful. I need to just work hard and get to where I need to be, which I know you're not there yet. I mean, success is ongoing. I always tell people it's not like, all right, I made it to success.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you never arrive to success. I think success is always ongoing. But what drives you? Like what made that turning point in your life? Like when was it that you can recall?
I mean, honestly, like I think it was really, really at a young age. Now, I'll also say that like I don't think it was healthy in the beginning. I think that like I'm writing a book right now, and when I first started writing the book, it was going to be really like practical business and marketing advice. And I started working with a book coach, and he started like really interviewing me and like pulling stuff out of my childhood that I was like, oh man, this is therapy. Like this is deep, right? And as we're telling the story, I started to realize like whenever I was, young, I realized that we didn't have anything, like genuinely. And I was like, I can either continue to have this lifestyle for the rest of my life where it's just like nothing and I'm constantly scraping and we're constantly working paycheck to paycheck, or I can go figure something else out. I can go try something. And I feel like I was always a bit entrepreneurial, even young. I have a picture that I just found the other day, and I'm so glad I found it because I was going to tell the story in the book. But when I was a kid, we had this like little playground in our yard that I like turned into like a little candy stand in our yard where I was selling candy out of it. So, I mean, I always was a bit entrepreneurial. And I think part of it too was like, you talked about like your kind of sum of the 5 people around you. And I remember like growing up, I'd become friends with several like kids whose families were very wealthy. And I started to get like subjected to their lifestyle and what they had. And I was like, whoa, like this exists. Like this is a thing that like you can have. Like, cause my life was very different, like very, very different. Like I remember one of my closest friends growing up, she was on MTV Cribs when I was like 15. Like,
wow,
like that kind of lifestyle. And I was just like, man, like this is cool. Like this is cool. Like I want this, And funny enough, my first word when I was like, whatever it is, 2 years old or however you are when you say your first word, was money. So like I was always money motivated, man. Like I knew I was going to kind of be in the pursuit of money, but I'd say in my early age, that actually was more harmful than it was good because it was a bit more focused on self-centeredness and almost like a survival instinct of like, I need to make money. I need to do this at the relentless of relation. Like it didn't matter about relationships. It didn't matter about any of that. It was just about not growing up the way I did and having a different life. And I'd say really in the like last 5 or 6 years, I had a really like, kind of like almost like you kind of come up from a fog and you like look around and you're like, where's all my friends? Where's my family? Like, wait a second, like you were 5 and now you're 10. Like what happened? And I realized that in this pursuit of success, I had lost sight of why I thought that I got into business in the first place, which was supposed to be to help my family and to have a different lifestyle. And so I think when I had that like, shift of focus, and started thinking about like, man, I didn't do this for me. Like, this is lonely. Like, entrepreneurship is lonely as is, right? And when you start to like alienate yourself and you lose the relationships and the people you care about most, then like, what are you doing it for?
You're speaking to me a lot. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine recently about that I have been so laser focused, like even more than ever the last 3-4 years. And I believe that my relationships have suffered a bit. I mean, granted, I do have a lot of people that I speak to and whatnot, but then I had to realign, and I said, no, I can't. I mean, why am I doing this? I mean, I asked those questions, the same thing, right? I mean, we just hit the Inc. 5000 this year. We're gonna hit, so and I'm so bizarre. Like I dreamed to be in that list. Yeah. But then again, like you need to realign, because once you hit a success, then what's the next one? What's the next one? If you don't pause and really say, why am I doing this? Like there's a reason why we're doing this, and it's a higher purpose. It's to be impactful, to help others, to spend more time with your family, to have friends around you, right? In the end of the day, you don't want to be a lonely person, right?
Yeah. And that for me was like a real kind of a rude awakening. And I'm not saying that I'm better yet. Like, I'm figuring it out daily, man. Like
100%.
I don't know, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I made a whole Facebook post about it. I literally wrote like, hey, I've been MIA. Like, I've not answered phone calls and responded to texts, and like not been at all of the family functions, and like, and I think in my heart and in my mind at the moment, I'm like, oh, this is all for the right reasons. But then if I step away from it and I look kind of outside in, it's like, but is it? Or is this like still self-fulfilling? Is this still like stroking an ego, or still trying to solve something that I feel like from my childhood? Like, and I mean, the reality is probably yes. Like, I'm still trying to like say that I've made it, like that I'm not that kid that I was, 15, 20 years ago. But I think that we have to be so careful that we don't allow ourselves to lose our trueness and our true selves and our purity, if you will. And again, that's that's a constant battle. That's a constant thing that you kind of just have to like, you work through and you're aware of. I mean, I felt it early on in the business too, where we started losing clients. And I was like, well, why are we losing clients? Like, these people love us. Like, we're doing a great job. And come to find out, like, these people just wanted to spend more time with me. And I was like, oh. And I think that once you've obviously heard of the 5 love languages, right? Yep. And I think when business owners start to realize that applies to their clients and their business relationships as well, my clients, quite a few of them needed that, words of affirmation. They needed to know that I was there. They needed to hear from me. They needed to talk to me. I'm just like, you're good, cool, sweet, on to the next one. And if I would have spent 5 minutes talking to them, maybe I would have saved that relationship.
Number one reason that clients leave is perceived indifference, meaning that you don't pay attention to them as much, and that's the number one reason. It's crazy. It's not so crazy. Oh my God, I got all these results for the client. Nope, it's not. Doesn't matter. The number one reason. Doesn't matter. That's bizarre. Yeah, man. It's been great. One final question. That this is the Go Accomplish More podcast. So I ask this question every single time with everybody that's on the show. And finally, so this is the question: what's one piece of advice you'd give entrepreneurs listening who want to accomplish more in their life, in their business, or in their life?
I think bringing it back to the top, I mean, I'd say don't try to do it all yourself, right? Like, take my advice and don't wait 10 years to hire your first coach, to become a part of a coaching community, to even just become a part of a mastermind or a space that you feel like you can share the loneliness, if you will. I think that I could have accomplished so much more faster had I done that earlier on. I genuinely believe that. And I think that can come in a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be some big mastermind. It doesn't have to be something. It's like, it could be one person, one mentor, one person that you have breakfast with every single week, but have some accountability. Have somebody who's going to be that encourager, who's going to remind you to take a step back, who's going to check you. Like, for me, that's what I need more than anything, is I need someone to tell me whenever I'm getting to be like a little too big-headed, or I have a little bit of ego happening, because I don't always see it. Like, I might think that I'm doing everything with the best, purest intentions, but I might not actually be doing that, right? I think there's something to, perception sometimes is reality. Like, sometimes people think that, and that's what they're thinking, and we've got to change that. And so I think that if you can surround yourself by people who want to see you win and who've been there, you're gonna accomplish more, and that's I think that's the big advice I would leave with them.
So good. So where can people connect with you, Andrew?
AndrewBrockenbush.com is my website. You can go kind of check out all of the other things that I've got going on. I'm hoping to have my book released next year, hopefully by the end of March. So
congrats on that.
That'll be coming. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So I'll come back on the show once I have like the name of the book and the book is out, and we'll do all that stuff. But I'm excited about that. Hopefully also we'll be releasing the Disconnect conference pretty soon. And then you can obviously check out our agency and work, and it's all on my website. And then Facebook as well. I'm posting pretty much 1 or 2 times a day on Facebook. That's where you can kind of get to know the real me, not just like the business conversations, but like the funny, silly version of me.
Do we see you dancing? Are you dancing in some of those videos?
I'll do some TikTok dance videos, bro. No fear here, bro. No fear here. So yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. It's been great. All right. Thank you so much, Andrew.
All right, John. Later.